The AIDC F-CK-1 Ching-kuo, commonly known as the Indigenous Defense Fighter, is an air superiority jet fighter with multirole capability named after Chiang Ching-kuo, the late President of the Republic of China. The aircraft made its first flight in 1989. It was delivered to Taiwan's Air Force in January 1994 and entered service in 1997. All 130 production aircraft had been manufactured by 1999. The IDF program was initiated when the United States refused to sell F-20 Tiger Shark and F-16 Fighting Falcon jet fighters to Taiwan following diplomatic pressure from China. Taiwan therefore decided to develop an advanced indigenous jet fighter. The Idf Jet Fighter Project was designed and built by the Aerospace Industrial Development Corporation based in Taichung, Taiwan, with some assistance from American defense corporations. Development. The preliminary search for a replacement for the ROCAF's F-5S and F-104S began with the XF-6 Indigenous Fighter Project, later renamed Yin Yang, in the late 1970s, after the U.S. established formal relations with China and ended the Mutual Defense Treaty with Taiwan. President Chiang Ching-kuo decided to expand the indigenous defense industry and on August 28, 1980, ordered AIDC to design an indigenous interceptor. Originally, the ROCAF listed the priority of the XF-6 behind the XA-3 Lei Ming attack aircraft, due to the believed high risks of the XF-6 project. The signing of the 1982 U.S.-China Joint Communique limited arms sales to Taiwan. The United States refused to sell the General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon and the Northrop F-20 Tiger Shark, thereby ensuring the continuation of the Indigenous Fighter Project. Although U.S. President Ronald Reagan reluctantly accepted his advisor's suggestion of building relations with China to counter the USSR, Reagan decided to balance the 1982 U.S. PRC communique with the 6 assurances to Taiwan. This opened the door for U.S. technology transfer and assistance to Taiwan's defense industry, including the IDF project. Design. The AIDC officially began the IDF development project in May 1982 following the ROCAF's failure to purchase new fighters from the United States as a result of Chinese diplomatic pressure. The project was named Anxiang Safe Flight and divided into 4 sections in 1983: Yin Yang, Soaring Eagle, development of the airframe, some cooperation with General Dynamics, Yunhan Cloud Man, development of the aircraft power plant and propulsion, cooperation with Garrett, Tianlei, Sky Thunder, development of the avionics systems, some cooperation with Smiths Industries, with some components purchased directly from Learistronics, Litton and Martin Baker, Tianchen, Sky Sword, development of air-to-air missiles. In April 1997, American company Litton's Applied Technology Division was awarded a production contract and options totaling $116.2 million by the Aerospace Industrial Development Corporation for improved radar warning receivers to be installed aboard Yunhan engine research. Exports of advanced engines such as the General Electric F404 of the Pratt & Whitney F100 were not available to Taiwan, and both the General Electric J85 and General Electric J79 were considered unsuitable in the performance, and most European and American engine companies declined to cooperate with the project. Joint investment with Garrett became the only practical solution. In 1978, following the success of the TFE-731 engine, engine company Garrett announced joint research of the TFE-1042 afterburner with the Swedish company Volvo Flygmotor. The TFE-731 Model 1042 was touted as a low bypass ratio military derivative of the proven commercial TFE-731 engine, and that it would provide efficient, reliable, cost-effective propulsion for the next generation of light strike and advanced trainer aircraft, with a thrust of 4,260 lbf dry and 6,790 lbf with afterburner. After the initial negotiation, the investment was going to be divided between Garrett, Volvo, AIDC, and the Italian company Piaggio. The development would consist of the non-afterburning TFE-1042-6 for light attack aircraft and advanced trainers, and the TFE-1042-7 for the AMX or the F-5 upgrade. AIDC also suggested upgrading the TFE-1042-7 to 8,000 lbf thrust in a twin-engine installation, in order to compete with the GE F-404. However, the JAS-39 Gripen project decided to continue with a single F-404, and Piaggio asked to participate at a later date due to financial concerns. ITEC completely redesigned the TFE-1042-7 into the TFE-1042-70. For example, the bypass ratio was changed from 0.84 to 0.4. and the investment had increased from $180 million to about $320 million. However, to avoid pressures from China, the U.S. government had asked all American companies cooperating with the Taiwan on the IDF project to remain low-key. Therefore, the perception that the TFE-1042 is merely the civilian engine TFE-731 with an afterburner was never completely dispelled. In 1985, the preliminary review of the IDF's design revealed some performance requirement shortfalls, and it was determined that an upgrade of engine thrust by 10% was the simplest solution. Due to American export license restrictions, ITEC used FADEC to artificially limit the thrust below a certain altitude. Although the upgrade essentially used the TFE-1088-11 configuration to reduce political interference, ITEC renamed the original, lower thrust version as the TFE-1042-X70 and retained the TFE-1042-70 designation for the upgraded version. In 1988, ITEC decided to invest in the 12,000 lbf thrust TFE-1088-12, which was redesignated as the TFE-1042-70A for political reason as well. Preliminary studies had shown that the IDF could supercruise with the new engine. At the same time, General Electric Aviation decided to enter the market with the J101SF, a smaller version of the F-404. However, after the IDF order was cut in half due to budget concerns, the TFE-1088-12 engine upgrade plan ended as well. Yin-Yang Aerodynamic Design. The cooperation between AIDC and General Dynamics was divided into 4 phases. GD analyzed the ROCAF's aircraft performance and force requirements. Taiwan assessed GD's reports and chose between AIDC's original design and GD's new design. AIDC sent personnel to GD for the preliminary design phase. GD sent personnel to Taiwan to complete the project. GD's assistance was restricted by the U.S. State Department's Arms Export Control, which limited GD's work to initial design consulting but not further development, production, or marketing. Many different airframe design concepts were explored. After the General Electric J-79 was officially abandoned as the potential engine solution in 1983, three configurations emerged from AIDC. Configuration A was similar to the F-5E. Configuration B was similar to the Eurofighter Typhoon and Saab Gripen. Configuration C was similar to the F-15. At the same time, GD worked on the G configuration in parallel. Eventually the G4 was selected, but with many features of the C2 integrated. During this time, the project was named the Lightweight Defense Fighter. In 1985, the configuration conceptual design had evolved into the SHE-1 preliminary design. By the end of 1985, AIDC decided to skip the prototype stage and go into full-scale development directly in order to reduce time and save money. The project was again renamed into the Indigenous Defense Fighter. 4 FSD aircraft were made, with 3 single-seaters and 1 double-seater. TNLA avionics integration. The IDF is equipped with a GD-53 Golden Dragon multimode monopulse pulse Doppler radar, which is based on the General Electric and APG-67 X-band radar developed for the F-20 while sharing some components and technologies of the and APG-66 radar of the F-16A, and using a larger antenna than used by the F-20, and this adaptation resulted in the look-down and shoot-down capability of GD-53 being greatly enhanced in comparison to that of the original AN APG-67, reaching that of the AN APG-66. The radar can simultaneously track 10 targets and engage 2 of the 10 targets tracked with TC2 active radar. Seeker BVRAAMs. The design is inherently unstable in pitch, so the IDF incorporated a modern triple-redundant full-authority fly-by-wire control system. The avionics suite was based on modular architecture with dual-redundant MIL STD-1553B digital data buses. The Honeywell H423 inertial navigation system, the TWS-95VAR-HAWS and a Bendix King head-up display were selected. Some capabilities may have been delayed or dropped in order to meet the performance requirement, since the engine limitation has resulted in the necessity of strict weight control. Tianchen Missile R and AMP-D. The CSISD's Tianchen project was slightly more independent, since it was considered to be a development for all the ROCAF's aircraft rather than only the IDF. The Tianchen-1 is a short-range infrared-seeking missile with an external configuration similar to that of the AIM-9 Sidewinder, while the Tianchen-2 is an active radar homing beyond visual range missile that is claimed to be in the same class as the AIM-120 AMRAAM. The first test firing of the TC-1 missile was performed by an F-5E in April 1986, with the beach target drone successfully destroyed. Initial production of the TC-1 began in 1989, and it entered service in 1991. Both the AIM-9 and the TC-1 have been seen in use on operational IDFs. CSISD is believed to have cooperated with Motorola and Raytheon on the TC-2's active Seeker, which is believed to be based on the Seeker design which was proposed for the AIM-120. 40 pre-production TC-2 missiles were produced before 1995, and were the only BVRAAMs that the ROCAF had in its inventory during the 1995-96 Taiwan Strait Missile Crisis. Over 200 production TC-2s were originally planned, Variants: F-CK-1 Ching-kuo. The first successful test flight by FSDA-1 was made on May 28, 1989. The first two-seater FSDB-1 conducted its first flight on July 10, 1990. The first successful firing of the Tianchen-2 air-to-air missile took place in 1992, with the ROCAF establishing its first F-CK-1 squadron the following year with a batch of 10 pre-production aircraft. The ROCAF's initial order for 256 aircraft was cut to 130 in 1991, following deals for the purchase of 150 F-16 Block 28B and 60 Mirage 2005A die with the US and France. The last IDF-A-B rolled off the production line in 1999. F-CK-1 Xiangsheng. The Ministry of National Defense announced that beginning in 2001, the government would include a new budget allocation for the IDF upgrade plan. The 5 proposals were upgrades of the AT-3, IDF, and F-5 would be assigned to AIDC in the future. The Army utility helicopter, the Navy's long-range ASW aircraft, a helicopter for the Marines, and an Air Force medium transport will all be produced and assembled by qualifying domestic firms in conjunction with the foreign firms that originally designed them. CSISD and AIDC will jointly assemble a team for the early planning of the ROCAF's next-generation fighter, in order to assess procurement methods and suggest concepts. AIDC's joint ventures with foreign firms or alliances with domestic firms will be given high priority in military aircraft service and maintenance. In the future, the military will give responsibility for weapons system flight tests, electronic warfare exercises, air-towing drones, avionics maintenance, and weapons procurement planning to AIDC. In situations where AIDC has the professional capacity that the military lack in GT, this is part of the 7-year IDF CDR and AMP-D plan, which allocates 10 million new Taiwanese dollars annually for a total of 70 million NTD for both CSISD and AIDC. Initial media reports indicated that the upgraded IDF would be called the Joint Countermeasure Platform. In 2001, it was reported that development of a new stealth variant with more power engines and improved fire control system would commence that year. In a 2006 interview with Jane's Defense Weekly, former AIDC chairman Sun Taoyu said that 2 new prototypes had been manufactured. The upgrade would allow the IDF to carry an additional 771 kilograms of fuel. In addition, it includes an improved avionics suite, retrofitted electronic warfare capabilities, and new weapons systems. The landing gear has been strengthened to accommodate the additional payload and fuel, but the plan for a dielectric radar-absorbing stealth fuselage was dropped due to concerns over weight. The project consists of 3 phases. Increase the carrying capacity for the TC-2 Beyond Visual Range air-to-air missile from 2 to 4. Integrate the TC-2A anti-radiation missile and the Wancheng cluster bomb. In addition, 2 conformal fuel tanks were seen on the 2 newly built prototype aircraft. Upgrade the mission computers, the electronic countermeasures, the electronic warfare systems, the active identification friend-to-foe system and the terrain-following radar, ground and air testing. If the program is approved, service entry is projected to occur in 2010. The development contract for the upgraded IDF-CD flight control computer was awarded in 2002 to a more advanced BAE Systems. AIDC said that the improvements of the flight computer will result in a safer, higher-performing aircraft. The first test flight of the upgraded IDF was reported reportedly successfully completed a few days ahead of schedule in early October. A decision on production of the aircraft has not yet been announced. However, some media have already begun to speculate about Project Xiangsheng's demise, due to the Air Force's recent interests in procuring Block 50/52's F-16s and some ROCAF officials' lack of confidence in the IDF upgrade project. On March 27, 2007, President Chen Shui-bian witnessed a test flight of F-CK-1D, and announced that the upgraded IDF will be named Shungying, which signifies that the new fighter would protect the homeland just like the crested Goshawk. As of 12/2009, 71 F-CK-1 SB are upgrading to F-CK-1C over 4 years span for over $500 million, according to AIDC CEO. Under Project Xiangchan, as AIDC and ROCAF had signed a contract for the expected upgrade program. IDF lead-in fighter trainer. According to the media, the AIDC IDF trainer concept apparently involved the removal of the fire control radar and combat systems with the retention of rear seat flight controls, so that the IDF could be used as a lead-in fighter trainer. The ROCAF seemed to have reservations with the concept, however, as it would mean the IDF lift would not be usable in wartime. AMND letter said regarding the newspaper report of AIDC's desire to use the IDF fighter as a basis for supersonic trainer development. It is only that company's operational planning concept. The Ministry of National Defense and the Air Force currently do not have such a plan. The letter then said that due to a tight budget allocation, the ROCAF would instead ask AIDC to extend the life of the AT-3 and continue to use the F-5 in the lift role. In 2003, the former AIDC chairman Hu Wang-Yongtai said that AIDC still hoped the ROCAF would consider using a simplified version of the IDF for lift, and that such a concept could have a cost as low as $16 million per unit, compared to the T-50's $19 million. However, the F-CK-1 lift modifications and new production concepts never received government funding or approval. In May 2006, LT General Chang Shi-yu testified that the MND indeed plans to retire the F-5EF by 2010 and allow the in-service IDFs to take over training missions. It is unclear what modifications will be made to IDFs after they become trainers. All ROCAF pilots selected and sent to US and France to receive training on F-16 Block 20 and Mirage 2005 fighters had to have flown with IDF F-CK-1 for at least 6 months, which makes IDF a lift except in name. Current technology upgrades. The first stage of upgrades to the fleet should be completed by 2013, which will include improved avionics, radar electronics, weapons capabilities and lifespan extensions. In May 2014, the ROC Air Force made photos of the fighters with enhanced long-range missile capabilities public. Operators. Taiwan Republic of China Air Force 130 aircraft, including 10 pre-production aircraft. Specifications. Data from Global Security. Org Malavia, Taiwan Air Power. Org General Characteristics. Crew. 1. Length 14.48 meters. Wingspan 9 meters. Height 4.42 meters. Wing area 24.2 square meters. Empty weight 6,500 kilograms. Gross weight 9,072 kilograms. Max takeoff weight 9,526 kilograms. Power plant 2 times Honeywell ITEC F-125-70 turbofan, 27 kilonewtons thrust each dry, 42.1 kilonewtons with afterburner. Performance maximum speed, Mach 1.8. Range, 1,100 kilometers. Service ceiling, 16,800 meters. Thrust weight, 1.01 lbf, pound. Armament guns, 1 x 20 mm M61A1 6-barreled Gatling cannon. Missiles, 4 x Sky Sword I, 4 x Sky Sword II. Bombs, Wanshan GPS-guided cluster bomb. Avionics radar, 1 x GD-53X band pulse Doppler. Effective scanning range, look up, 57 km. Look down, 39 km.